Welcome to Teacher Tony's short video underlying methodology. Some people say, Teacher Tony, others also talk about short videos. And you also talk about short videos. So what is the difference between what you talk about and others? We have to start from a pain point. You know that many people now study short videos, but they lack a scientific methodology. First of all, he has no framework and unclear purpose. In this case, he has no motivation and does not know whether he should do it or not. Secondly, he has no means and unclear path. In this case, he has no method and does not know what to do. The third thing is that he has too much information and too many details. In this case, there will always be problems that cannot be solved, and there will always be new problems that arise. And my course is specifically designed to solve this framework problem. In other words, others are talking about the rules, but Teacher Tony is talking about the original rules. Others talk about operating methods, but Teacher Tony talks about methods within methods. Others teach you how to study, but Teacher Tony teaches you to learn to study first and then study. For example, if you are a law student and others teach you how to memorize clauses 1, 2, and 3 of this law, then what Teacher Tony teaches you is why this clause is introduced in this law. Only when you understand the framework can you avoid taking small detours. The same is true for learning. Why are there top students? Is it because there are too many questions? Of course not. Those who study at the top never rely on time. You must have had this experience when you were in school. This guy doesn't seem to study particularly hard. But why does he always get first place in the exam every time? Because the teacher didn't teach him this question. How could he know how to do it? This is the importance of framework. It means that after he understands the framework and applies the details, he will be able to do it with ease. In other words, he sees the questions differently from ordinary students. When ordinary students see this question, what should they do? What should they do? What should they do? He saw a question that said, oh, the teacher wants to test me on this point. This is the difference between understanding the framework and not understanding the framework. This is the difference between passively accepting and predicting the other party's prediction. In other words, if you don't have a framework and you don't get the essentials, you will always be stuck in such minutiae and unable to extricate yourself. You will always encounter new problems. You will always encounter problems that cannot be solved. You will always feel that there is not enough time, and you will be exhausted. Real knowledge is a system. And this is the biggest difference between Teacher Tony's class and other people's classes. I have written an article before about the importance of system. Why is it useless to read thousands of volumes? You can take a look at why you still can't live a good life after reading so many books. Because reading cannot change your destiny. It can only change the amount of information you have. It is not an input operation. I used to be in elementary school, and after reading too many dictionaries, it became the Xinhua dictionary. But as long as you don't process it further, it will always be a dictionary and worthless. Real knowledge is an organic system, not a messy accumulation. If you want to transform information into knowledge, you must turn inorganic into organic. The key point is to reduce the quotient, and the so-called quotient is the degree of confusion. A scrap parking lot is worthless no matter how many tires, steering wheels, instruments, headlights, and clutches you have. Because the quotient has not changed, the chaos has not changed. And the real value is a car that can drive. The organic combination of various parts and the proper cooperation with each other make this a living system. The parts are no longer messy and randomly stacked, but cooperate with each other and perform their duties. From parts to cars is a qualitative change. This is called entropy reduction. And reducing entropy itself is extremely energy consuming. The brain, which weighs only 2%, consumes 20% of the energy, which is used for IQ. Storage is worthless. You can just get a hard drive. But many people put storage first. They kept collecting various fragments, but never built a framework. They have all kinds of tires, all kinds of instruments, all kinds of clutches, all kinds of gearboxes, and they have never tried to assemble them. Because once it's assembled, it'll find that's orders of magnitude more difficult. You will find that many things are contradictory. Some tires cannot be installed on the wheel hubs, and some engines do not match the gearbox. There are many things that look useful, but after you install them, you find that they can be thrown away. During the assembly process, you will fail over and over again, and then try again and again. And then gradually understand the relationship between the engine assembly, gearbox assembly, and front and rear axle frames. And then you can finally put it together into a drivable car. This is the formation process of the system, and it is also the most important part of knowledge. Although fragmented knowledge may make people shine, if you gain it, as soon as you assemble it, you will find that a lot of it is garbage. For example, for the same thing, if it succeeds, it will be ignored by everyone, which is a philosophical story. If it fails, it will be said to persist in one's own way, which is also a philosophical story. But what you really need is to independently judge when you should stand up to everyone else's opinions, when you can brainstorm ideas, and dare to take responsibility for your mistakes and bear everything. Consequences, this is what the system does. Reading cannot change your destiny. If you have read the same book, others have also read it. If you want to be different from others, you must explore the system yourself. Only the system can truly change your destiny. Okay, after reading this, let's look at the structure of this course. First, let's talk about the 3 levels of knowledge. The physical body is the system framework. For example, the equation of state of an ideal gas, TV0ART, is time application. For example, the structure and working principle of an internal combustion engine. This is an application. Techniques are all kinds of operations and all kinds of details. For example, cleaning spark plugs can save fuel. To be more specific, we divided the entire course into 3 chapters according to the usage of questions. The first chapter is called Strategy. Strategy and framework solves a fundamental problem. The second chapter is called the Tactics chapter, which talks about traffic and monetization. It solves the practical problems. The third chapter is the Battle chapter, which talks about what all walks of life should do. It solves the problems of specific industries. Chapters 1 and 2 have been completed, and Chapter 3 will continue to be updated. But the method of learning is divided into 3 steps. The first step is to read it thoroughly. That is, you don't need to worry about the details first. You first understand what is going on. You first stand up high, and don't let me go astray. The second step is to read intensively, focusing on the problems you encounter during the practical operation. And then look at the key points in a targeted manner. This way you'll discover a lot of things you never saw before. Because whether you have practiced or not, the feeling of watching the same course is completely different. After practicing it, you will find that this is what this place says. Oops, why didn't I notice this place before? The third step is to watch the live broadcast. I will gradually increase the frequency of the live broadcast and give priority to students who have purchased the course through Mac. If you watch more of Mr. Tony's live broadcasts and other case studies, you will often get unexpected gains. We will notify the specific time in the community. Next, I will talk about 2 insights. The first one is that there is no painless method in the world, just a patch without injections or medicine. Failure to follow the methodology will make you avoid detours, but it cannot prevent you from walking. Nothing in this world has ever happened out of nowhere. Without a lot of study accumulation, thinking, and practical operation, it is impossible for you to make a good short video. Second, the core of learning is giving up, which is what you are willing to get, what you are willing to give up, what you can give. Whether you have time, whether you have courage, whether you are perseverant, whether you are persevering, these are the key. If one day you are reborn, the person you should thank most is yourself, and I just happened to accompany you for a while.